The claim that I'm responding to is that if deforestation doesn't stop, the cure for cancer will slip out of our hands one cheeseburger at a time. The secondary claims that the advocate was able to bring up included cattle production by Brazil has been the driving force behind deforestation in the Amazon. That deforestation is going to get worse. The Brazilian government encourages its citizens to cut clear large parcels of rainforest, and converting rainforest land into pasture land is pretty dumb. On the first secondary claim, cattle production by Brazil has been the driving force behind deforestation in the Amazon. The evidence he brought up was quite convincing, but he only brought up one study, or I guess that really was by an environmentally friendly group that is, I guess, would be partially biased in supporting the rainforest, and didn't really have any other evidence than that one study, and it could be, or like I say, could be biased towards their cause. The secondary claim that deforestation is going to get worse, he brings up several points about the groups that are causing the deforestation, or the beef packing industries, and the facts of current deforestation rates, but there's no evidence to support that deforestation is going to get worse, and there's nothing about it getting worse, just the current rates. The third claim, the Brazilian government encourages its citizens to cut clear large parcels of the rainforest. He has no evidence of the laws or acts that would really have them encouraging the things. It's more so saying what he thinks, it seems like, as he has no statistics or things proving that the government really does encourage that, and he also says that the economy is dependent on the sale. While it may be, he has no numbers that say how much a percentage the economy really relies on the sale of beef. And there's no concrete evidence between the connection of the government supporting it and his evidence of saying that they do. On his final claim, converting rainforest land to pasture land is pretty dumb. Is more of opinion, because the people who live there and are doing it do it to make money, and it's their way of life so that they can survive and make money and live. And so to them it's the best way possible to live and make their money, so to them it's smart. As you can see, the points brought up by the advocate are rather, they have huge holes that are missed, and that the deforestation isn't necessarily the cure for cancer, or stopping the cure for cancer.
All right, David, you labeled the claims that you're following. It's pretty easy to watch the structure as it's developing. I know what your points are being applied against. So all the signposting is pretty solid. The challenge on the evidence on the first point is a little thin. You make an argument that suggests that perhaps there's bias, but you don't give us any reason to believe there's bias. You don't even mention the particular organization that the advocate was citing so that we could make an assessment ourselves. And there's no independent authority that suggests that this group is biased. So it's basically making up a claim. It's an assertion without any proof, and it could ultimately affect your credibility with the audience. I thought you had a clear signpost as you're moving to the second point. There's some analysis of deforestation based on the statistics. It was an okay press to make there. This would have been a great place to have any counter information about how the number of plants, for instance, has increased over the years, or that deforestation in one section of the world doesn't automatically mean that there's deforestation in the key parts of the world. Or, for instance, the link that the advocate is making that deforestation is going to result in the loss of species that have a potential cure for cancer. The cancer issue doesn't come up except right at the very beginning and right at the very end in describing what the claim was, but not in the argument about what the issues were. On the third point, again, you're challenging the advocate's lack of evidence on the point, claiming that there are no facts to support that there is incentive in these countries to do this. A perfectly legitimate thing to say. It's hard to remember from 2 weeks ago what the evidence was that the advocate presented. If you had some evidence to suggest that there is in fact an effort to do conservation or preservation in these areas by the local governments, that would be a good counterpoint to have on this point. At best, it's a press on the advocate's reasoning. I'm not sure that it's a very strong refutation on it. And then your challenge on the last point is basically an issue about whether it's smart or dumb. You're focusing on a linguistic twist and who should be deciding whether it's smart or dumb, locals figuring out what's best for themselves, or on a broader scale. But it does miss the point about the potential dangers. If the advocate's correct about loss of the forest and the implications it has, whether or not we call it dumb or smart or whatever, there are consequences to it, and those consequences have not really been refuted. It's pretty easy to follow the structure of the argument. The reasoning that you give, this is a lot of the presses that you gave just now would be the kinds of presses that you give almost immediately after you heard the speech. In other words, this doesn't require 2 weeks worth of preparation. This requires 2 minutes of assessment of the argument, and then you stand up and respond to it directly. I just see a lack of development of any substantive response on these points, but I thought that you had a couple of reasonable presses, and it's well organized. Thank you.